The hockey stereotype, at least in the past anyways, has been that players are more vocal on the ice, but rather soft-spoken and humble off of it. Thinking back to icons such as Wayne Gretzky and Mario Lemieux, for example, they definitely fit the framework of the assumption. Therefore, when players are more outspoken, which is just beginning to take hold more today, spectators are quick to take notes. But this video is going to focus on 2 times in which players took the meaning of confidence to a whole new level. In this video, we're going to go over 2 instances in which players spoke out and proclaimed that they should be first overall, and if they were right. And with that, here are 2 NHL players that said they should be taken first overall in the NHL entry draft. First off, we'll be traveling back in time to 2015. When one of the most hyped prospects in history, aka Connor McDavid, was locked in by a landslide to go first overall in the draft. And most of us know why, but in case you're new to hockey, I'll fill you in just a little. Just like he is and has been doing in the NHL, McDavid was putting on an offensive clinic in the Ontario Hockey League prior to draft day. And after walking away with 120 points in just 47 games played, number 97 exited the OHL with the most individual awards ever at the OHL level with 5. Deemed the next great one, McDavid, though extremely talented, fit the mold of a more humble, soft-spoken archetype that fans have come to almost expect. On the other side, however, was Jack Eichel. Hailing from the States, more specifically Massachusetts, Eichel in some aspects displayed an inverse type of demeanor, meaning that he came into the draft confident with the belief that he was the best amongst his peers. And really, there's no doubting that he appeared as an excellent consolation prize behind McDavid. One thing that set Eichel apart from his peers drastically was the fact that, as a freshman for Boston University, he became only the 2nd in history to receive the Hobey Baker Award. After leading the NCAA in scoring with 71 points in only 40 games played, Eichel, although extremely talented, was still expected to be taken 2nd overall behind McDavid. Despite the headlines that were looking to dictate his future, Eichel went into draft proceedings betting on himself first and foremost. As most of us know, prior to the selection process itself, just like a typical job entails, players have individual interviews with interested teams. And it was during this time, according to multiple sources, which I'll link below, Eichel gave prospective suitors the assurance that he would be better than McDavid in the long run, and that he should be their prime target instead. Sabres GM at the time, Tim Murray, confirmed what reports conveyed by saying, quote, "He said that. I think he should say that. Why not say that? I think he believes it." End quote. When confronted with the accusations, both McDavid and Eichel had reactions that were telling. First, McDavid, as I mentioned before, held true to the soft-spoken, humble demeanor that displayed confidence, but still in a nonchalant type of style.
I feel I'm the best player in the draft. I'm not sure. Maybe I'll hear a different answer from Jack, but we'll see.
Eichel, who at first tried to play damage control and went back to the fact that he just had confidence in himself, and went on to say, quote, "I didn't really think it was going to be a big deal," end quote. Well, I guess you could say lesson learned in that regard. Even still, being an American myself, I can say that this did further perpetuate the stereotype that we here in the States are more outspoken and at times arrogant. Well, as the story goes, Buffalo, who had tanked on purpose in an attempt to snag McDavid, received Eichel as their consolation prize instead. And McDavid went to Edmonton. For purpose of comparison, however, let's take a quick look just to see how these 2 players have fared so far in their careers. Now obviously Eichel has dealt with more injury issues, but looking at it, McDavid has averaged more points per game by a long shot, has won several individual awards at this point, and has been in the playoffs. Obviously, hockey is a team sport, but since Eichel did make those previous statements about being the best, I just thought it would be interesting to see how right or wrong he was. Moving on to 2016, which were another draft class that was bursting with talent in its own right. Similarly to the last draft, the top 2 prospects were from different nations and backgrounds. This time, however, the top tier prospect that was expected to go first overall wasn't Canadian, but instead from the United States. For the first time since Patrick Kane was selected in 2007, an American in Austin Matthews was set to be a sure pick for the team, who was given the first selection. The Arizona native, who had been busy making waves with the U.S. National Development Program, set an all-time points record of 107 throughout his second season with the team. But Matthews wasn't the only prospect in the spotlight at that time, as Finnish winger Patrik Laine had been captivating spectators overseas in his own right. Even though he wasn't necessarily shattering records in dramatic fashion, the interest in Laine skyrocketed, especially after he scored 8 goals in only 7 games while playing in the U18 World Championships. Even more impressively, Laine continued to showcase his talents at the international level, as he helped Finland capture gold in the 2016 World Juniors after notching 13 points in only 7 games. And at one point in time, draft analysts including Bob McKenzie felt torn between the top 2 prospects. While they did have Matthews still being the top selection, there was a little more skepticism than a year before. This time, however, it wasn't American confidence bursting into the headlines, but rather a different flavor, as Patrik Laine made it known, according to multiple sources including Sportsnet, that he deserved to be taken first overall instead of Austin Matthews. While some scouts did agree that Laine's position of wing did put him at a disadvantage, the Toronto Maple Leafs didn't take this into account, as they decided to select Austin Matthews over Patrik Laine in the end. But for sake of analytics, let's see how close Laine has been to Matthews' production so far. Interestingly, at the time this video is being made, both players have played the exact same amount of regular season games with 407. Now obviously, just like the other comparison, this is a team sport, but since a proclamation was made by Laine years ago, let's compare. In every category except for penalty minutes and total shots taken, Matthews is in the lead. He also won 2 Rocket Richard trophies up to this point and captured the Calder in his rookie year.